Story 1, $40 including tip, every month. I have come to expect that they will straight razor my neck as part of that offering. I have begun to feel like my parents when I complain about the cost of a haircut. I remember when I was a kid, it was like $17 with a tip at a large haircut chain. Story 2, $50 including tip. She is worth every penny. One of a select few that I have gone to who can identify a cowlick and cut accordingly. Story 3, $80, but I go to a salon, have an expert care for my hair, get a wash and scalp massage, and relax for a good hour. Repeat every 10 weeks. Story 4, $36 with a $6 tip. I confess I just hand over $40. People have to eat. This is a far cry from $10 with a $2 tip back in 2010. Story 5. After my barber started charging $55 for a haircut and beard trim, excluding tip, I began watching YouTube videos. I went to Amazon and bought an Andis T outliner, wall clippers, a handheld mirror, blade oil, and good scissors. Now I always look like I have a fresh haircut year-round for a one-time investment of $150. Story 6. $15 plus a $3 tip. Around the holidays, I just give him $20 and tell him to keep it. Same man for years. I thought he was going to cry when he told me a few years back that his wage was increasing from $12 to $15. Wonderful gentleman. Story 7. For the last 28 years, I have been trimming my hair about once every 2 weeks. I have saved a lot of money and a significant amount of time. Story 8. 16 pounds. It has gone up from 9 pounds 3 years ago, but the place next door, a younger trendy type of place, charges 25 pounds, so it is an easy decision for me. Story 9. My wife does it for me. So depending on how you look at it, either an absolute fortune or completely free. Story 10. I pay $20 plus a $5 tip. For an extra $5, I can also get a scalp massage, wash, and rinse. I do indulge sometimes. Story 11. It went up to 15 euros last time. Not that I'm complaining, though. I have no idea how it stayed at 10 for so long. Story 12. My barber charges, I think, $18, but I always pay $25. They only accept cash. It is a real old-school place where the inside looks like it has not changed since the 1960s, complete with news snippets about the moon landing. Story 13. $40 for electric clippers that I use repeatedly at home. The cost per use decreases every few weeks. Story 14. I go to a well-respected and reviewed old-school barbershop in St. Louis. I pay $40 total, including a tip, for a beard trim and haircut. I think it is $32 prior to the tip. Story 15. Nothing. I started cutting it myself a couple of years ago, although I think I would rather have someone else do it for me again. I am sure I will not when I see how much they are charging nowadays. Story 16. I have been doing it myself for 25 years. Get a cordless clipper with attachments, around $40, and 2 mirrors. You will get the hang of it after a couple of cuts. If not, have some hats handy. Story 17. When the pandemic hit, and I desperately needed a haircut, but everywhere was closed, I bought hair clippers on Amazon and have been doing it myself ever since. I just like a basic short haircut, so it is very easy to do on my own. Story 18. I go to an old-school barbershop. I've been going to him for more than 30 years. He does the hot towels, straight razor shave, the whole experience. He's Italian and sings while he cuts. It's always a bunch of old men having espresso, thumbing through old magazines. I got a shave and a haircut on Monday, and I go through the same routine every time. Pat, how much do I owe you? My friend, it's the same as last time, he says. He has said the same thing for 30 years. I give him $60, he says it's too much, and I say too bad and leave. Story 19. $45 for a haircut and beard trim or lineup. $55 with tip. Pricey, but I have been going to the same barber for years, and I always look very clean afterward. Located in Southern California. Story 2045 plus 10 for tip, which is honestly too much for how simple a cut I get. I used to go to Sports Clips and Great Clips, but I went to a nicer place where a woman gave me a haircut that I actually liked for the first time. I have been going to her for almost 3 years now. Story 21. About $35 with a $7 tip, because the lady who cuts my hair always does an amazing job and is really nice. Story 22. $0. I have cut my hair by myself for the past 5 years. With a good mirror setup, in a few months you can learn to do a very good fade. There are many tutorial videos online. You might make mistakes the first few times, but after about 10 cuts, it will become second nature. I cut mine every 2 weeks, fading from 2 millimeters to 20 millimeters on top. It is very easy. Story 23. Once a year buzz cut. About 30? Work doesn't care. I don't have a wife. I look fine with short or year-length hair, thankfully. Story 24. Bought $10 hair clippers from Temu for my kids and they came with quite good scissors. From now on, I'm cutting my own hair and the kids. It is not at all difficult considering the last time we paid for their haircuts was $30 Australian each and mine was over $300 Australian with foils. No thanks. Story 25. $25 including tip at Great Clips. A Mexican lady cuts my hair perfectly every time and also shares the latest gossip from her workplace. Story 26. $60 from a nice barber. I didn't know a haircut could look good on the first day until I switched from Great Clips. Story 27. My barber charges $30 for a haircut and beard trim. I give him $60 because I love my barber and the shop where he works. The Berkeley Chop Shop. Story 28. I have been shaving my own head since 2020, so zero cost. Haircuts are too expensive, and I am never satisfied with them. Story 29. I paid about $110 once for an electric razor for my bald head. I cut my hair every other day, which quickly reduced my cost per haircut. Story 30. $45 to $50, including tip, every few weeks to a month. I feel that is pretty standard across barbers these days. My hairstyle is not something I would get at a large chain haircutting salon, so I am okay paying this amount because it makes me feel good looking nice. I appreciate my barber for making me look good all these years. I like his work. Story 31. Started going bald in my 20s. Gave in and got a head shaver for $50 and have used it for years. At least the beard does not go bald. Story 32. $0 per haircut. I do it myself. I have a simple haircut with a 5 on top, 3 and 4 on the sides and back. I finish with 2 and 1 on the back. I spent $40 on cordless wall clippers recently and upgraded from my $20 clippers from 2017. Story 33. It was $40 plus tax the last time I went, which was 1.5 years ago. This is also the reason why I decided to learn to do it myself. Story 34. My barber recently raised his price to $50, so I am going somewhere else now for $35. The service is just as good. I am in Southern California for what it is worth. Story 35. Including a tip of $35. I missed my super cheap haircut place near me when I went to school in Iowa. $15 including tip from this very short Korean woman. I would point at my haircut, she would cut it, no conversation, I would pay, and I would go home. Best haircut. Story 36. The price was $25, but the last time I went, I gave her $40. I used to go to her a while back but moved a year ago and recently moved back closer, so the last time I went, it had been almost a year. The barber shop I had gone to previously charged about $60 because they were upscale. They were just the closest to me. Anyway, funny story about how I made her cry. We were just chatting throughout. She's a great person. She has a husband who is wonderful, so it felt comfortable to be a little open with her, kind of flirty, but not really. She loves how I take care of my hair and will run her fingers through it occasionally while cutting. It feels really good. But she did it in a way that wasn't obvious to me at first. That time, she said, "Too much information, it's coming," referring to her cycle. I just said, "Oh, take your time. Do your thing, whatever you need, take a break." She finished up, and I looked in the mirror and genuinely said, "I look great." I wasn't thinking about anything else because I was shocked at how good I looked. I kept saying, "Sarah, you make me look hot. Goddamn." She gave me a huge hug and started to cry. She said, It's $25. With a big smile. I gave her $40 and said, "Hell yeah, you deserve this. Thank you so much." She dabbed her tears with the two 20s. I said, "I'm definitely requesting you next time," and then left. I would definitely recommend her to anyone wanting my style haircut. Basically short sides and a little off the top. Story 37. I used to get the $20 bargain salon cut with a random stylist. For the past couple of years, I have upgraded to $44 with a regular stylist. It is worth it. My hair looks better. Story 38. Got a wall-corded hair cutting kit around 10 years ago. Number 4 on the sides, number 6 on top for me. Simple. Takes a bit of time and multiple passes to make sure I don't miss any stragglers. But I haven't spent $1 on a haircut in almost a decade. I thought my $20 per cut plus tip spot was frugal, but the trimmer more than paid for itself in the first year, and I've saved at least $1,000 since then. I have cut it more often and not let it go too long because it is free and I can do it whenever on a random weeknight. So much more convenient. Story 39. In the United Kingdom, I would not pay more than £15. I only have to pay this when I am separated from the mobile hairdresser I am seeing. Story 40. About 25 cents for electricity. The clippers and scissors are 25 years old and have done over 700 cuts for the family, so that adds about 3 cents per cut. This cost decreases with every use, and the clippers paid for themselves in 2 uses compared to the barber, so that hardly counts. Because I'm feeling nerdy and have an electric bill in front of me, the real cost is 9.25 cents for running the clippers for 15 minutes, which is about 11 cents. Story 41. About 12 months ago, a haircut at my old shop was $30, and now it is $40. Most of us got a 3% raise at work if we were lucky. If the barber received the same raise, 3% of $30 would be $30.90. They would get a 90-cent raise if they were treated like the rest of us working-class people. If they received a very good raise of 10%, which is more than the 7% inflation rate, they should charge $33 a cut. However, that was still not enough. They gave themselves a 33.3% raise and now charge $40 plus expect a tip. Who here got a 33.3% raise at work this past year? Just curious. Story 42. I usually get a hair and beard trim. That costs $60 to $80, including tip, depending on what I ask for. They do a fantastic job. Other places I go to that do an okay job, but not fantastic, usually charge $40 to $60, including tip. Story 43. The service has not changed, so the price should remain $20. Unfortunately, inflation is causing everyone to pay for the barber's rent. Story 44. I don't think I have paid for a haircut in 25 years. I have been buzzing my head every 2 weeks and never looked back. The savings are incredible. I bought a boat. Story 45. 0. I shave my head. On occasion, I go to an upscale barbershop for a hot towel shave and haircut. It is glorious but costs about $80. Story 46. I have not cut my hair in over 3 years. Before that, it cost $40 plus tip every other week. I stopped because places did not accept walk-ins, and I was tired of making appointments and getting rescheduled. Story 47. Pay? Laughs with home clipper sounds. My haircut is option 0 in most games. Hair no longer grows evenly, so I just cut it all off. It is a bit chilly in winter but fun to wake up with no bed hair. Story 48. Bought hair clippers and have cut my own hair for years in less time than it takes to walk to the barber. Story 49. Between $30 and $50 depending on the place. That includes tip, lineup, neck cleaned up, and a free beer or shot. Story 50. I learned how to cut my own hair via YouTube. Many great channels teach you how to do a simple fade, layering, and more. I bought a cordless $40 professional clipper and have been using it for the past 5 to 6 years. The last time I paid for a haircut was about $18 plus tip. It's surprising how expensive it is. Story 51. I haven't paid for a haircut since COVID-19, so it's been over 5 years now. I moved in with a roommate who owns a professional grade hair trimmer. Problem solved. Self haircuts. Story 52, $30 with a 20% tip. Once it exceeds that, I'm not going to pay that amount monthly. I'll buy one of those Flowbee devices we used to see in the 1980s. I had a very good hipster barber who raised his rates to $40. I had to tell him I'm not paying that monthly. However, he has many clients who gladly pay that, and I don't fault him for it. He's one of those best barbers, and he's probably worth it. Story 53. It is $40 for hair and beard, but I tip $10 because I go once a month and I know it is overgrown by then. So, $50 per month. Story 54. I am not. I stopped getting haircuts years ago, and my last one was in late February or early March 2020. Story 55. 43 plus tip. Full disclosure. I get my beard cleaned up and shaped, plus I receive a hot face towel and massage. Worth every penny. Story 56. I pay around $40 including the tip, but I only go every 3 months. It is worth it in my opinion. She does a great job, and I have not been to another shop in 3 or 4 years. She does my hair and beard. I always trim it too short or uneven when I do it myself. Story 57. The going rate in the Bay Area where I am is $55 to $65 before tip. I refuse to pay this, so I get infrequent cuts and drive all the way into the neighborhood for a poor $20 cut. Story 58. $18 in West Virginia. Although I live in a rural area, I trade my barber 6 dozen eggs for a haircut and beard trim. Story 59. I have been cutting my own hair for the last 10 years. It is fantastic once you get good at it. One less errand, expense, and awkward forced intimacy. Story 60. During the pandemic lockdown, I tried it myself with a Flowbee, and I have not been to a barber since. I am good enough that I will keep doing that. Story 61. $30 including tip every 4 weeks. Same girl for 30 years. I get a scalp massage. She shaves my neck with a razor. The only thing that is not great is that she is old like me and cannot see well enough to pluck the hairs growing out of my ears. She cuts them with clippers, which are loud, and they grow back quickly. Story 62. My barber charges me $35 per haircut, and I usually tip $30 to $40. I go once a quarter and want to make sure they stay in business. Good barbers are hard to find. Story 63. India. 100 Indian rupees for only a haircut. About 1.17 US dollars. 800 rupees, approximately 10 US dollars, for a haircut, hair coloring, and a hair wash. Story 64. Here, the inexpensive barber charges $35 and does a poor job. The expensive barber does not do a great job and charges $80. Supercuts did a better job at a better price than both, $28. Story 65. I cut my own hair all the same length. I have not paid for a haircut in over 2 years. In my 20s and early 30s, I went 7 years without paying for a haircut. Sometimes I buzz it, but that is rare. I usually use a 2, 3, or 4 setting. Buzzing is like a 0. Story 66. I bought clippers in 2013 and have done almost exclusively my own haircuts since then. I do not have an expert fade, but it is clean and looks good enough. Story 67. My hair grows very thick, and I am hot-blooded, which makes me sweat even more. Therefore, I shave it off at home for free. My body stays cooler, and my wallet is not affected. Story 68. $40, including tip, for a cut and wash every 4 weeks. I gave up on online booking and returned to the first come, first served, cash-only service. I find that 20 or so minutes spent waiting and doing nothing are worth more to me than anything else I could be doing on Wednesday mornings. Story 69. I gave up, bought trimmers, and shaved my own head every couple of weeks, as close to shaved as you can get with clippers. Story 70. $25. Quality haircut. I wear a hat 90% of the time, so I can go a few months without thinking about a haircut until something comes up that is not hat appropriate. Story 71. Somewhere around €50 a few years ago for decent clippers and now doing buzz cuts. Usually, my wife or daughter cuts my hair, but I can easily do it myself as well. There is no point in doing anything more with hair. Story 72, $42, more than double in the past 5 years. I have known my barber for 20 years. We had an honest conversation about it, and he is actually taking home less than he used to because of the cost of living, expenses, and everything involved. Story 73, bought my own set of clippers so that I can cut my own hair. I haven't perfected it yet, but I have already reviewed my finances. When I couldn't afford anything extra, a haircut became one of the expenses I needed to eliminate so I could pay for food, gas, my home, and bills. Story 74, way too much. It has been $50 at several places I have been to. Now I bought my own cutting kit for $150 and cut my own hair most of the time. I save about $500 a year. Story 75. There is a hole in the wall place 30 minutes from me that I go to now. Haircuts are $12.99. The ladies are all professional with years of experience. It surprises me that they charge so little without all the nonsense and lack of experience like some other places have. I give them a $17 tip so they can live too. I feel like it balances out because barbers charge $30 to $50 even for a trim, and I think that is crazy, especially when you have to tip on top of that. Story 76. Paid $100 for professional Oster clippers 15 years ago. I cut my own hair most of the time for free. For special occasions, I pay around $35 to $40, including tip, to have them cut it and make cleaner edges. I have saved thousands of dollars doing it myself. The return on investment was well worth it. Story 77. 40 with tip, but for some reason, I let mine grow out until I cannot take it anymore before I get another one. So I only get 2 to 3 a year. Story 78. I get my haircut about 2 to 3 times a year. I feel like anything above $25, not including tip, for a standard haircut is absurd and borderline shady unless you are getting your hair extremely styled or your beard trimmed with a lot of extra services. I always tip about $20 if the haircut is good. If the haircut is not good, I still tip about $10 because I feel that is reasonable. Story 79, $95, but she has been cutting my hair for years and took care of me when I was just divorced. She never charged me when I had a job interview or similar situations. She charges $120 for a cut and shave, and it is getting hard to book because she is fully booked. Story 80. Are we talking head to toe? This woman I know does the whole body. It is a good 6 hours and she is booked through September. She is amazing and $750 sounds like a lot, but it is well worth it, especially the 20-minute scrotum mask, which is to die for. It costs an extra $75 plus a 25% tip. The whole 4 hours is about $1,000. Story 81. Got a fun story about this actually. Last time I had a haircut, I went to my local cost cutters as usual and got my normal $25 haircut. But when I went to pay, it got weird. I went to the desk lady and asked how much I owed, and she said, and I quote, about $3.50. At that point, I was confused because $3.50 was wildly incorrect, and I didn't want to underpay these fine beauticians. Then I noticed that the person who cut my hair wasn't Erica, my normal stylist. Rather, it was a 32-foot tall sea creature with glowing red eyes. The Loch Ness Monster was out here trying to take my money again. Story 82. I go in with $30. A $20 haircut includes a $10 tip. A $25 haircut includes a $5 tip. I have a budget and $30 is what I will pay for a haircut. That is what a haircut is worth to me. Story 83. Bought nice clippers early during COVID because my 6-year-old son and I needed haircuts. He got a mohawk that transitioned into a mohawk mullet. I just clipper mine with a number 5 and blend it down. It takes about 15 minutes in the shower, and then my wife does any cleaning up. I did get some haircuts from a proper salon a few months ago at $50 plus tip, and they wouldn't cut it short enough, so I am back taking care of my own hair. I don't think I will go back to the barber or salon. Story 84. $40 is how much the clippers I buy cost, and they last me a good 10 years when I take care of them. 2 trims a year for 10 years means I save myself about $800. Story 85. It used to be 15, then 1750, 22, and now it is 33. And that is just your basic men's cut, nothing fancy. So I bought some decent clippers and will do it myself from now on. Once or twice a year, I get my beard done, pay approximately $45 and get a whiskey with it. Story 86. My barbershop raised their price for a head shave from $20 to $35 after COVID-19, and that was the final straw for me to just do it myself at home. Story 87. $60 all in New York City. It is a bit pricey, but the quality is top tier, so I am not going to risk it to try and save $20. Story 88. $56 used to be $48 until recently in Fort Lauderdale. I also tip $20 about once a month. I see a nice lady hairstylist. Story 89. Nothing. Started cutting my hair during coronavirus disease and haven't looked back. Have saved hundreds at this point. Story 90. $18. And the shop I go to loves my tips so much the owner and the staff always bump me to the top and say I have an appointment whenever I walk in. I think I do not speak Spanish. I spend $40 whenever I go because I used to pay $40 at the last place I went to. So my tips are always $22 cash. Minus whatever for taxes. I am not doing the math and I do not take the receipt. Story 91. I bought a buzz cutter recently and just gave myself a number 8 haircut. If Jake Gyllenhaal can pull it off, I reckon I can too. $20 up front and about 10 minutes every month has been a huge money and time saver. Story 92. About $60 every 2 weeks for a number 1 fade on the sides and back, cleanup of the front and top, rear neck shave with a straight razor, shampoo, blow dry, and styling. Story 93. Like $25 with tip? It went up so fast. It's not new, but I think it went from $13 to $20 in 2 years. Great clips. I'm simple. Story 94. When the pandemic shutdown hit, I bought a set of hair clippers for around $40. This was in spring 2020. I have been cutting my own hair ever since. Story 95. The barber charges $45. I give him $60. He is my friend. We both own businesses and pay full price to support each other. Story 96. $0. I buzz my hair short in the tub. I want to look like the year 2025 makes me feel. I cannot afford haircuts. Story 97. $30 from the apprentice who had never heard of Weird Al before and cut my hair way too short. 10 out of 10, my girlfriend likes it. Story 98. I pay $25, $40 with tip, and I think that is pretty pricey. However, there is not a lot of competition in my area. Story 99. For the last 2 years, $0. I cut my hair myself with my wife's help. I just threw away my clippers because I am tired of cleaning up the hair. I am going to go back to paying about $50 for a simple haircut here soon. Story 100. A buzz cut and beard trim for me is $22, as I receive a senior discount. The same service for my youngest son, who is 21 years old, costs $33. I usually add a $5 tip. Story 101. I am bald and own a skull shaver, so it costs $0. Last time I treated myself to a proper straight razor shave, it cost $90. Story 102. $30 with tip at a local salon. Plus, she has dogs that are sometimes there, and I get to pet them while she cuts. Story 103. I have paid for about 6 haircuts in the last 30 years. I think the last time I paid to get it cut was 2 years ago. Story 104. $30 includes shampoo and scalp massage. Usually $8 to $10 tip. Used to make sure to get the season ticket at Sport Clips when it was on sale. Story 105. 15 Canadian dollars, 20 including tip because the price cannot be beat. I notice no difference between these haircuts and the ones I used to pay $35 for. Story 106. $30 plus tip. I am currently in the midst of wedding season. I might tone it down afterwards. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.